I would argue that if you stood up and asked 100 CSOs whether or not they felt like marketing was bringing value, I would argue that as much as 40 to maybe 50% would say, unfortunately, we're doing it on our own.
To me, I've learned over the years that the team is everything, but then engaging with customers in a way that you can build trust, that you can add value, that they can learn a lot from you and do their jobs better in partnership with sales is incredibly important.
What we do want to do is connect. What we don't want to do is turn people off, right?
The Modern Selling Podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Modern Selling Podcast. And today I am bringing forth new talent to the Modern Selling Podcast. Yes, you've heard me talk about this in terms of the marketing side of the house. And I'm going to be bringing you some great marketing leaders starting right here, right now to the Modern Selling Nation. We are bringing Mr. Dan Lowden. Dan, welcome to the show. He is the CMO of Blackbird AI.
Mario, thank you for having me on. Really looking forward to the conversation.
Well, excited to have you here with us. We've got about 45 minutes of just raw content talking about something that we both love, marketing and sales. So before we get into any live content, do me a favor, Dan. I introduced you. I said you're the CMO of Blackbird AI. Tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Blackbird AI.
Sure. I've been in technology marketing now for well over 20 some years. Some of the biggest companies on the planet like IBM and AT&T, but over the past 15 or so years, I've focused on mostly fast growth startups in the technology world and mostly in cybersecurity over the past 11 years. For me, it's all about being a part of a company that can have a big impact on the world, that has a strong mission. And I've had a lot of fun doing it, but it's a lot of work, but a lot of engagement with sales leaders, with executives from a marketing perspective. And, I've had a lot of fun doing it. So it's been a great journey.
And Blackbird AI, tell us what you do.
Yeah. So at Blackbird, we protect what we call executives and organizations from narrative attacks. It's created by misinformation, disinformation, deepfakes that you see across the internet today that may look real, sound real, but are not, right? Or are manipulated, and they are being done to do harm that cause financial harm, reputational harm, operational harm, even physical harm that can happen from what we call these narrative attacks. And global 2000 companies, national security organizations are really concerned about it. It's become a top priority for a lot of chief information security officers and chief risk and communication officers because it's an attack on the company. It's a new threat vector. The World Economic Forum says it's the #1 global risk to the world. So that's what Blackbird does. We help give advance notice of these narrative attacks as they start to spin up and target your organization or executives so you can be better prepared to respond to them to significantly reduce risk. And that's what we're all about doing it. And we're super passionate about it and work with some of the biggest companies on the planet to help them.
Love that. And this is a huge area being a software company. All it takes is one totally non just a total mistake, human mistake. One click of a button where you have a mistake and boom, you've got a problem on your hands. So love the fact that you're helping there. We've got a lot of extensive experience that we've worked with cybersecurity as well. And so very excited to have you on the podcast here. I always ask all my guests a very special question, and you're no different, my friend. So here we go. Tell us something nobody knows about you, even if they're looking at any or all of your social profiles.
Boy, that's a fun one. Look, my theory on life is don't lay up. Okay. It's all my friends look at it that way. So whether it's golf or whether it's following the race of the Giro d'Italia through the mountains of Italy, whether it's going to the Bonneville Salt Flats to see land speed records being place going over 400 miles an hour. To me, it's about living life to the fullest and taking advantage of every opportunity. You may not see that on my social media, but that's my view on life, and it has served me well. It's all about great experiences with family, with friends, and that's what I love to do.
It's funny you mentioned that. People ask me, "So what's your hobby?" And for 48 years of my life, I've always looked back and said, "Well, geez, I don't play drums, I don't play guitar, I don't have a foreign language that I'm totally invested in. I don't write, I don't do poetry. But one thing I do love to do is I really actually think socializing is a hobby." I love to host people and I love to have people over and I love to laugh. Those are that, and I don't know, maybe it's not a hobby. Maybe a psychologist will tell me it's not a hobby, but I think it is. And I think living life to the fullest is one of the best pieces of advice that someone can give.
100%, right? So I'll just say during COVID, one of those things was like, okay, what can I do to maximize my time and just stay positive about things? So one thing a lot of people don't know about me is that I published a romance novel that's now on Amazon. And I've always been a romantic at heart. I'm in cybersecurity, so we're dealing with really, really serious, hard things. So, what could I do to kind of escape from that? Was write a romance novel, and I've had a ball with it. It's been so much fun, yeah, it's been a great experience to go through that process.
Well, you should have started out with that first. So what's the name of the romance novel?
It's called The Met Kiss. It's about the Metropolitan Museum of Art and a couple that comes together, and I try to do romance differently, and it's well done. It's very light reading. It's a great beach reading, but I've had a lot of success with it, and a lot of people say good things about it. So it's been wonderful experience.
Congratulations, The Met Kiss. There it is. And you said it's on Amazon?
Yeah.
There you go. Everyone go out and try the Met Kiss and see what you think about it. Let Dan know. Well, buddy, let's get into some meat and potatoes here as we think about marketing, as we think about sales. Our big focus, obviously, is centered around how do we drive more leads, more conversations for sales reps, and more customers to the organization, more revenue. So I know you mentioned about being part of multiple successful startups and exits, if I'm not mistaken, as well. Tell us about some of these successful startups and exits that you've had, and I think is the number 8 correct?
Yeah, it's 8. It's been pretty amazing. Yeah. So yeah, happy to share this. So as I said, I've been a part of big companies, but I joined my first startup back in 2001. And it's been an amazing journey where I've either been the CMO of a company or advised a company. And I found that the executive team, the leadership team, that team really comes together and really trust each other. And you go through hell and high water, including sales opportunity, marketing opportunities, strategic opportunities. The chances of you overcoming every challenge is that thrown at you, it goes up substantially higher. If it's a team that works well together, you can overcome a lot. And I learned that from my first startup where we could have gone out of business 3 different times. We overcame those challenges. And then AT&T came in and acquired that startup called Wayport back in 2008 when the world was falling apart with the financial crisis. So to me, I've learned over the years that the team is everything, but then engaging with customers in a way that you can build trust, that you can add value, that they can learn a lot from you and do their jobs better in partnership with sales is incredibly important. And that's what I've done startup after startup after startup, especially in cybersecurity, where it's very difficult to get in front of that audience, whether you're a sales leader or marketing leader. But if you do it the right way, they start to trust you, they appreciate your engagement, and then that's how you build long-term strategic relationships. So those startups have all led to, really positive exits for sales leaders, for marketing leaders, for the executive team, for the investors in the company, but most importantly, for the customers that we serve. And the more value that you can share um, to customers and say, this is how it's going to help you overcome the challenges that you face today, the more successful you will be as a company. And that's what we've done over and over and over again.
So clearly identifying a partnership as opposed to enemy between sales and marketing, that's important. And I think, honestly, Dan, as I talk to a lot of sales leaders and marketing leaders, nobody ever walks into an organization and says, marketing is going to be my foe, sales is going to be my foe. Everybody wants to approach it as from a partnership perspective, but not everyone sees it after they're engaged as a one department or the other as bringing benefit to the sales organization. In fact, I think I would argue that if you stood up and asked 100 CSOs whether or not they felt like marketing was bringing value, I would argue that as much as 40 to maybe 50% would say, unfortunately, we're doing it on our own. And the other 50% would say yes or absolutely, one of the two, right? Like in the middle of the road or absolutely. So I think when we think about it from that perspective, we don't say this shouldn't be a partnership. But what do you think is that secret sauce that brings that glues all this together?
Yeah. And I would 100% agree, and maybe even say it's higher where they're not connected or working well together. That percentage is even higher because I see it a lot, which still surprises me. But sometimes circumstances lead it that way, right? But to me, we're one go-to-market team, right? The only way the company's going to be successful is if the sales team sells, right? And builds long-term strategic relationships so things don't churn, right? And you're building growth in the company. So to me, and this is where it's been true to your point, like, I'll engage with my CRO or CSO, I'll engage directly with sales team members, and they're like, "Wait a minute, you know, I never hear from marketing, at other companies that I've been with, right? Or I've never been asked by marketing, what do I need? Or I've never been provided by marketing tools that are incredibly valuable to the customers we are trying to serve." So I think it's absolutely true. So if I do that and my team of marketers works the same way, I just got off our sales marketing call at Blackbird AI and shared all the things that we're doing, getting prospects in front of them who are qualified, who have a big problem. When they start to see, wow, marketing's really trying to help me, that's when it comes together, right? And even during hard times or good times, like, stay consistent with that and engage on a regular basis, communicate on a regular basis, share these new assets, share these new stories, then that starts to build trust, right? And like, marketing's got my back, or marketing just introduced me to this new account in my territory I've been trying to get in touch with for 3, 6 months, or marketing just provided an asset to me that is going to help move my prospect through the funnel faster because they're asking questions and marketing's providing me materials that helps answer those questions very succinctly and quickly, and they're on board. Also, like, we just did a big dinner and we surrounded one prospect who we want to work with some of our customers. And that prospect said, "Wow, you're working with some of these great customers. They've already validated you. So you passed the test already." So any attempt that we try to do that, it's together, right? And then if something doesn't work, tell us what didn't work. If something works, we want to do more of it, right? So that's how we engage. And then I'm on the front lines. Like, I'll be out there talking to prospects just because I'm at these events on the show floor or at a dinner or a conference, and I'm bringing a prospect to sales, and they're like, "Wait a minute here, I hadn't, that's fantastic." So all those things create trust between sales and marketing, and that's how you overcome that.
I love that. And so, successful startup exits, partnership, build trust, be on the front lines is what I'm hearing you say. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think being on the front line is really important because if you just stay back and, not be involved, you're not connected to the customer, the prospect, or you're not helping sales. You got to be on the front lines. And I brought in some really great prospects that turned into some pretty big deals, and that to me is important. And I would just say the executive team has to support sales. Like, we're all in sales, right? It's not just sales on their own trying to make a number. We're all trying to help sales make that number and expand and go beyond that number. So it's not just marketing, it's the whole leadership team has to look at it that way.
Yeah, gotcha. When you've looked at in these exits that you have had or that you've been part of, w- what role has marketing played in the exits? And maybe can you tell any stories that support the successful exits?
Yeah, yeah. So I'll give you some quick examples. So there's a big CISO community called Signet that we're involved in. I lead that relationship. It's a group of like 250 CISOs that's run by Robert Rodriguez and his family, and it's a wonderful community. So I actively participate in that community. They have events, they have podcasts, they have different types of panels on Zoom and things like that. So I'm actively involved in that. Um, from that, I've been able to introduce some very big prospects to the company, to our CEO through a 10-minute conversation, like quick meetup at an event or an activity, which has then sparked massive opportunity for the company, right? So that's just one example where I'm involved in communities. Sales is not. They don't have time to be able to do that, but I kind of build the relationship, build the trust, build the brand awareness, and then they want to speak to us, and I have that initial conversation and introduce them to our executive team on the company. And then when it turns into a sales opportunity, it's handed off to sales, and that's led to some big deals. So that to me is exciting. That community even voted on us as being one of the top startups last year in 2025, and we got this really nice award from them. So it's great recognition because it's from CISOs, right, who is our target audience. So that's just one example. I would say another example, I was at an event just a couple of weeks ago. It was a meet and greet to begin with. Everybody had a glass of wine in their hands, and I went up to these two people who were kind of on their own. I introduced myself, and they ended up being one of the biggest technology companies on the planet, and leading their threat intelligence group. And we had a 5-minute conversation. I said, "Come by our booth tomorrow. We'll give you a full demonstration." They said, "We'll give you 5 minutes." They end up staying 20 minutes, and then the next day, they reached out to us and wanted to have a call to learn more about what we do and introduced us to 3 of their teams, right? And that's just me going up and having a conversation with a glass of wine in my hand. We also create a lot of important content with details. So we give an example of a narrative attack that happened in the financial sector. And we say, here are 5 narrative attacks that use misinformation, disinformation to attack banks. And give examples, give the gory details behind those attacks, visually show what's happening because our platform can do that. And then we give that to our sales team, or we share that out across the internet, and that drives in tremendous leads, right? So these are just examples of how we've built success and how we've grown momentum, drive brand leadership, which is really important, but also drives the pipeline of qualified leads that sales can then take over and, turn into customers. So to me, those are just some examples of, how we've been successful and the impact that we've had. And it's how you build the strategic relationship with the customer that, wins every time.
So I've heard you say a few times now that you're successfully using events to be able to drive engagement and building of trust and those types of things, right? So clearly, from a marketing standpoint, events is the way to go. And is that something that you've always found in the past as as the best driver, or is that something more recently that you've seen as a result of, a very congested email call, phone call, LinkedIn, engagement strategy?
Yeah. I mean, we still do those things, right? But like, the leaders we go after, they probably get 500 emails a day, right? And it's all from cybersecurity companies trying to get their time. That's where I think there's a lot of bad marketing where I get requests all the time. "Hey, Dan, can I get 15 minutes of your time?" That's the first email I get. Or, "Dan, did you see the email that I sent last week?" No, I'm not going to respond to any of that. But if I send an email that says, "Here is a new report that just came out that says 100 CISOs had this is the problem that they're facing, and here's how we help them solve it. That's valuable. So we still do those type of things because you can have an impact by providing value right up versus asking for something. So, but it is crowded, it is noisy, it's hard, especially in cybersecurity. Building that personal relationship a lot of times has to happen face to face. They have to like you first to be able to spend the time to meet with you. They have to kind of be introduced to the company and see, hey, this company's trying to help me. But like that face to face is so critical still. And I think during COVID, everybody missed that, lost that. And just digital marketing went crazy and I think overwhelmed people. I think you have to do lots of different things in order to get that really great conversation. And a lot of times that still has to happen face to face.
I'm with you on that. Now, what I'm about to do is I'm going to show something to you. And on the lines of digital marketing, unfortunately, I don't have a way of blocking this out. Actually, I do. Let me do this. Instead of, I don't want, I never want anybody to look at something and say, "Oh, you could have, blocked this out." So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a screenshot, and I'm just going to put a little white box in front of something. But I want you to see and get your perspective on this because I know marketing as a marketer myself that oversees marketing as well. I know one of the things that we don't want to do is well, what we do want to do is connect. What we don't want to do is turn people off, right?
Right.
So here's I'm going to show you this image. Let me just save this image, and then it just came in, by the way, today. Just so you know, today. This is hot off the presses. Came in today, and I thought when I saw this, boy, I this is you know what? How about this? I'm not gonna tell you what I think about it. You tell me what you think about it.
All
And
right.
let's
And
see.
I have not seen this. This is brand new to me. Okay.
Brand new. Yeah, brand spanking new. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen for all of you looking in. Now, for all of you watching or listening to the podcast, we're going to describe to you what it is that we see so that you could understand. For those of you watching the video portion of this, well, there you go. You can actually see this right here. I'm going to zoom in, and here is an email. Dan, why don't you take it away and tell me what it is you see?
So, I mean, is this the exact email that you're seeing?
This is the exact email that I received in my inbox. The only thing I did is wipe out the name and the company behind it. That's the only thing I did.
Okay. I mean, I just see a lot of percentages and blanks and all different types of formulas that should not have been included in any email whatsoever. So that's number one. So you can totally tell this is an automated and impersonal email that went out probably to a large audience. And that whole audience is probably not happy about it right now. But it looks very generic. I wanted to reach out to help. The go-to answer when people use ChatGPT. Yeah, you know what? I pretty much got a very similar email that says, "Hey, you're not showing up in search for chat." And I'm like, "Yeah, we're showing up as number one." So they never really did the analysis. So to me, this is completely automated and unhelpful, and I would never want to respond to this company, or I would respond to them and say, "Hey, this is what I received. You need to fix this." And want to make sure you're aware of it because you're probably upsetting a lot of your prospects. It's
Well,
pretty ugly.
you definitely won't be getting a lot of customers this way, right? So
No.
to your point, what they did is they use a tool like Personas or Clay, and they're trying to personalize, as you can see in the parenthetical and the brackets. They've got all of these if-then statements and fill in the blanks, but none of them worked, unfortunately. So the enrichment clearly didn't work. But if you're telling me that you're going to try to get me on page number one and you're sending out messages like this, that's a problem. And I think one of the challenges that we see right now in the industry, and going back to this topic of events, when looking at this particular email, it says hi Mario, but it's a percentage if first name is blank equals, you're right. So it's got a formula inside there. Clearly they didn't test this out, but bad email marketing, bad salesmanship, whatever you want to call it, I don't know. But this is the reason why channels like email are suffering, because we are trying to do hyper personalization at scale. And then we look at it and the data is not enriched correctly. Clearly, we know this was an enrichment problem on their side, and which the data wasn't enriched correctly, and or it was not mapped. And clearly, no one tested it before it went out, right? And this is a big challenge. So when we talk about things like utilizing events as an example, and by the way, we stopped sharing for those of you listening in. When we talk about using events, events is a fantastic, phenomenal way to be able to, you said the keyword, build trust. And that's in your business, especially when you're talking about the C-suite and the security and CIO. Building trust is really the name of the game, because their entire livelihood is put on, if I don't protect the organization, I'm toast, right? And so events really are a key way. But what if, as a startup, you don't have the money to do events? What do you recommend then?
Yeah. You can do events modestly. Like we're going to Black Hat next week, which is the biggest security show uh, in the industry. It's in Las Vegas in August when it's 115 degrees outside, but that's what it is. So a lot of companies buy big trade show floor booths and they're spending, hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars. We don't. We go, we have a separate meeting space through one of our venture capitalists that we use that we get at a very much a reduced cost. We're sponsoring some specific events. We're a small cybersecurity company growing fast, but there's a party called Hackathon that we are a sponsor with, that we're next to Wiz, that we're next to Sentinel One, that we're next to other big companies. And all of a sudden we look like, who's this new hot cybersecurity company that's coming up called Blackbird? So all in, our investment is not very big, but the exposure that we are going to get is significant. We also are having a panel with one of our venture capitalists. His name is Dave DeWalt. He's a former CEO of McAfee and FireEye, so that brings in a lot of the big hitters. It's not really costing us a lot of money. So there are ways to do events inexpensively, and then you can also do webinars as well with very big players, and those aren't that expensive. And then I would say one other thing that we did is we work with NATO as one of our biggest customers. We've had a former NATO leader, he was there for 30 years, speak on our behalf at events. So we submit a speaking opportunity for him to speak at Black Hat in Las Vegas or in Singapore and soon in Canada. And he speaks and he gives a presentation. And many of the slides are based off of the data that we provide him. So those are very inexpensive ways to get a lot of exposure, especially by having a customer do it on your behalf who really believes in your company. It really can work that way without spending a lot of money.
I love that idea you just gave, especially as a startup. There are plenty of opportunities to be able to speak. Most people submit a speaking submission for the company themselves to actually speak, but that's not necessarily the right way to get the speaking slot, which you
You
just
won't
said.
be selected. You won't be right. But if you give up a customer where, give them the opportunity to speak and tell their story, that's how you get on and you get accepted.
Nailed it. And that is that is the picture perfect scenario right there, where you submit a speaking slot, you as the interviewer and the customer or customers as the interviewees, and then you submit something, you get the branding, you get the recognition, and then you get the opportunity for have them plug you in at the appropriate spots, which is a great way to be able to do that. Interesting, something I just did for the very first time, and I stole it off of a competitor, as a matter of fact. And I thought, huh, this is interesting. Let's see how this works. So one of our solutions inside of our Fly Message AI assistant is an AI post generator. And we use this for sales reps and marketers so that they don't have to think about it. No need to have an employee advocacy solution. You just put the URL in, we'll write the whole post for you, and then you can post it. Yeah. And we do it all in the format that we know LinkedIn loves, likes, and things that go viral. And so I thought of something and I was like, how can I drive value and show users that are not using my product, show users how they can do something in literally 8 seconds. Most people think of social media and they're like, well, I'm going to go put it out in ChatGPT. And then they sit there and prompt the heck out of it in order to be able to get what they think is good. But nobody really knows whether or not it's good. So here you've got Vingresso. We've got the largest digital sales training organization in the world. We know the system. We know LinkedIn. You can utilize our tools. So I decided to run what's called a post party, a LinkedIn posting party. And I sent it out to 100,000 plus folks on the list. And I got hundreds of responses that said, yes, I'd love to join your posting party. But the way I positioned it, here you go, 2 points. Number one, it's a live event. Number two, to solve a very specific problem, which is you want your thought leadership, you want to be able to drive engagement or leads. And number three, we're going to build a community around it. And the community now is going to help everybody's post go viral. Why? Because we're all going to be creating a post utilizing the tool. Everybody posts their links inside there and everybody begins to like and comment on those particular posts. Utilizing, by the way, the other portion of our tool, which is the LinkedIn comment generator, so that you can create engagement. And as I pushed this out, I didn't know what to expect. But one of the things that I saw was people were actually interested. They wanted to learn, how do I get my post to go viral, or how do I write a good post, regardless of what ChatGPT would give you. So this is a great trial run for us. It's the first time I tried this. It's a posting party, no webinar, no registration. All someone had to do was reply yes to the fact that they would want to join the party. And then we manually added them to a calendar invite. So that's what we're doing. And as a startup as well, we don't have oodles and oodles and oodles of money, but it was just taking someone else's good idea. I'll admit, I saw it. I thought, great idea. Let me copy and pull it in. I've got this big, massive list, and let me try it. And so that's what we did. And costs for us as of right now, $0.
Yeah. Love that. I mean, that's being creative. That's doing something fun, like posting parties that can help everybody in the community, building that community. That's really powerful. So I 100% agree with you. That engagement, uplifts the story even further, and, can bring more customers your way. So I love the idea. And, learn from others what others are doing, best practices. I'm a part of a bunch of CMO clubs. One of them is called CMO huddles, where we learn best practices from other CMOs. So yes, uh, borrowing, stealing, learning from others' success is a great way to do it.
Well, anybody who's listening in from the Modern Selling Nation, or Dan, any of your salespeople that want to join, feel free. It's August 7th, and we are doing this. We're going to make this how this party go. So we'll be excited about that. That having been said, you've described a number of things, Dan. I would like to call it a marketing playbook. You've talked about a number of different strategies. Let's put this together. What is the marketing playbook that you've created when you go in to be able to grow an organization from X to Y?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is something that I've created over the years that I bring to every company that I either advise for or join as a CMO, where it's a list of things and it's a creation of what's the right word to say it, initiatives that combined together can have a massive impact on the company, right? And that's what my goal is that marketing becomes a strategic part of the company's success by helping the executive team, by helping sales, by helping drive brand leadership. So this playbook is all the things that I've learned over the years that work, that is constantly being updated because the world is changing all the time, especially marketing is changing, especially with AI coming into the mix and things like that. But this playbook, when I share with a company, is if we do these things to engage and surround a customer with the right message, targeting the right ideal customer profile, we're going to have a lot more success because it's been proven. Like, I know this works. And again, it's constantly tweaked and changed, but it works. So I walk into a company, I learn what they're doing right, what they're not doing, what they're doing wrong. And then from that, I take the playbook and then I bring that over a 30, 60-day period to customize that for the company to say, okay, here's the strategy, here's the key talking points, here's how to build the brand to make it look like $1 billion company, and all the things that we need to do in the marketplace to surround our customer target. So no matter where they turn, they learn something from us and they want to learn more from us. And that playbook has worked. So that's one reason why we get tremendous media visibility, analyst engagement, writing reports. We're included in Magic Quadrants and Forrester Waves. That's why customers want to engage with us, and the industry leadership we get, and the sheer volume of inbound leads to drive pipeline come in. So when all that works really well, that is when the magic happens. And a lot of times that leads to an acquisition because the company has a lot of market momentum, sales momentum, and other companies realize you have something unique, something special. You're innovating faster. You're bringing something to the market that customer needs, and boom, they want to acquire you. And that's the reason why it's led to 8 acquisitions, and been part of what I bring to the table with every company I serve.
Love that. Thank you very much for showcasing some of the plays there. Thinking about more of creating strategic relationships with your customers. You talked about that earlier, building out trust, building relationships. We talked about it through doing that through events. Talk a little bit more deeply. How do you create strategic relationships with your customers?
Yeah. And first of all, and this is what I do whenever I go into a new prospect, or sorry, a new company to help, right? Whether I'm advising or whether I'm a CMO, is what is the true value of the product? Does the product work? Does it do what it says it does? Does it provide more value, even more value over time? Like, does the product get better over time, even though they bought you on this date, 3, 6, 9, 12 months from now, the product's even better and helping them even more. As you said, if they select you as a vendor, they're putting their name and their job on the line. If it doesn't perform, it doesn't work, and an incident happens, they're at risk, right? So they're putting a lot of trust in you. And if that product provides a lot of value, you can help them be very, very successful over the long term and help their teams be very successful. So that's how you build long-term strategic partnerships, is like you're there, you got their back during the good and the bad. And if something bad happens, or if something where you may fall down, have missed something, if you react really quickly to rally around them to help them, then you will have a customer for life. You will, because they're like, I got my back. So when that CISO moves to the next company, one of the first calls they're going to make is back to you and hire you again and bring you into that next company. And that's where I've seen that over and over again, where these CISOs that we've worked with said, I join a new company every 2 to 3 years. I'm going to bring you with me because you've done such a good job. So that way, when it's renewal time, it's a no-brainer, and you may be able to actually charge more because you're providing even more value to them and service over time. That's how you do it, right? And whether it's through good situations where you really help them, or a bad one when you react quickly and help them respond to it, and they know you got your back. That's where friendships happen. That's where you're going to meet at a bar and have a drink and say, "Hey, thank you for the partnership."
It's interesting you mentioned that in our first years as a SaaS company, we launched as a text expander tool, and it was very personalized for Fly Message, meaning if I used it, I found value, right? So to try to sell that at the enterprise level became difficult to prove that out because um, the challenge was is that a user had to do something to be able to use the application. as opposed to it being embedded into the workflow. As an example, we recently released AI grammar checker, which is directly competing against Grammarly. Now, if you think about for us, Fly Message, it is all centered around the AI assistant and the writing for a salesperson, the engagement on for social selling and for a salesperson, and for cold calling in terms of role play and training. So it's all one big package. And what we found was that if a seller went and took the training, they would get value. If a seller used a shortcut to expand out text, they would get value. What we realized was that an individual needed to be able to utilize the technology, but inside of their workflow. So that's why we released the grammar checker. And when we released the grammar checker, now you're typing something out anywhere online. Now we're actually showing you with a red underline or a yellow underline or a purple underline that something's wrong. And you're like, what is this? And then you click on it, right? And so as a direct result, of doing that, we've had a massive spike in usage of the tool and technology because we're now embedded into someone's workflow. And then we released another product, which has actually just been submitted today. We use Chrome technology and the extension, and that's called Paragraph Rewrite. So every time you highlight something or double click something, now a little purple logo is going to pop up to say, hey, do you want to rewrite this? And so now it's going to be, again, embedded into someone's workflow. So what we realized was, for the churn issue that you're talking about is yes, you want to be there for your customer. Yes, you need to be able to help them solve a very specific problem. Yes, when times get rough, you want to rally around them. But also from a product standpoint, you also want to make sure that the user of the product is having a tremendous amount of value from that particular product and that you are embedding it into their workflow so that it's used every single day. I cannot tell you the number of customers that we work with for sales tools. We go in, we say, how many licenses do you have of X tool? We're like 100 licenses. And we look at it and we're like, what's the usage look like? 30% at best, right? 70% of wasteful spending on tools and technologies, hundreds of thousands of dollars, all because it is not being used every single day and it's not embedded into a sales rep's workflow.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And you're adding more value over time. That's the key thing, right? So they buy you at, January 1st. By, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, the product has matured and provide more value over time. So the renewal is easy, right? And that's where you might be able to say, hey, because of all these other things we added, can we charge you more? That's what the question you need to ask. So that's happened to me over my career several times where we did all these things for a customer. At the end of that year, they're like, "Hey, we need to reduce the cost to you guys." And we said, "Well, look, we added this much value, this much value, this much value over time. We actually need to charge you more to cover our cost." And they're like, "You know what? You're right." So they agreed to us charging them more versus them trying to negotiate us down to charge less, right? And it's only because they solve value. If you're not providing that constant value, they will push hard to reduce the price, and I can't blame them.
Yeah, fair enough. So great conversation, Dan. I've enjoyed having this conversation with you. If someone wants to get connected with you or reach out to you, what's the best way? Is it through X, through LinkedIn?
Yeah, it's all through LinkedIn. It's Daniel Loudon, and again, Blackbird, just put those in, and please reach out to me, connect with me, and yeah, I enjoy, like you. I'm very social. I talk to a lot of people. I try to mentor a lot of younger people that are getting into the industry, whether it's cybersecurity or marketing. That's again one of my superpowers that I just enjoy meeting people, and I'm not shy. I'm from New Jersey. I'm not shy. So to me, that's a lot of fun. And yeah, reach out.
And if you're looking for Daniel, it's Daniel Lowden, Lowden, and he is at Blackbird AI. But he does go by Dan. So hopefully you're listening to this conversation. salespeople, if you're looking to sell to the CMO, make sure you know that you've heard this podcast all the way to the end. And here's how you're going to know, Dan, if someone listened to it. If they reference, oh, I heard you on the Modern Selling podcast, Daniel, then you
Right.
know that they didn't listen to the very end.
It comes in handy. It comes in handy. Yeah.
Absolutely. So great. And Dan, if I got a last question for you, and that is your all-time favorite movie. What is it?
Yeah. So I have to say too, like one is old school, it's Casablanca. To me, that is classic. Again, going back to romance and my, book and all that kind of stuff. More modern is the Ocean's 11 video or movies. George Clooney, there's a lot of fun stories around that, but to me, those are great. Like just fun escapism, like you laugh, but it's clever and smart. Those are the things that I like.
Well, there you have it. Ocean's 11 and Casablanca. There you go. We've heard that before on the Modern Selling Podcast. And all of you listening in right now, hey, don't turn that dial quite yet. We've got this important message for you right now.
Thanks for listening to the Modern Selling Podcast. Please do me a huge favor and give the Modern Selling Podcast a 5-star rating and review on iTunes. Oh, and don't forget, if you'd like to save 20 hours or more in a month and increase your productivity, go right now and download Fly Message, that's flymsg.io, for free. It's your free text expander and personal writing assistant. Hey, thanks for listening in, and until the next episode, good selling.
Podcast. Podcast.